of who you are. And that is that who and how you are made is wonderfully made. It's perfect. And you are here by divine appointment with us this morning. We believe there are no accidents. We're a community that believes in showing up as love in action. And let's take a moment and be that love, virtually greeting our neighbor through the comments. So the song is called Show Up and Be Love, and that's what we're all about. Show up and be love, be the smile you're dreaming of. We're here to give and receive love. Won't you show up and be love, be that heart you're dreaming of. We are here to be love. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, one is silent. You gotta be it if you wanna see it, all that love you're craving in the world. We're the ones to make the difference. We're the ones that we've been waiting for. So show up and be love, be the smile you're dreaming of. We're here to give and receive love. Won't you show up and be love, be that heart you're dreaming of. We are here to be love. We are here to be love. We are here to be loved. Yes. So welcome again. We are so glad that you're here with us this morning. We teach the science of mind philosophy. It falls under the umbrella of New Thought. And that is training our consciousness to a new thought, continually grabbing the next new thought, the next better thought that allows us to align with the goodness of the one source by many names. So that's what we do here. We show up, and we show up as love. We show up as love in action, and we do the best that we can to continually awaken to our divine potential. So we look forward to getting to know you. If you're new with us and you'd like to know more, you can email us, info@awakeningcarolina.org. And we look forward to meeting you in person if you are new with us this morning. Thank you. And for all of you who show up every Sunday, thank you so much. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God's the love I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God's the love I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God's the love I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God is the love that I am. God's the love I am. I breathe into this truth that God is, I am. This one power, this one presence by the many names. This one inexhaustible supply, this one inexhaustible and unshakable power and presence, this intelligence, this love, this presence I call God, I call Spirit, I call Source. I know that I am one with it, that I am an expression, unique, individualized expression of it. So I breathe into this truth and recognize that God is the love that I am. God is the peace that I am. That peace is where I live. It's who I am. It's what I give. It's what I do. When I choose to align with that higher truth, always and ever available to me. So right here in this moment, recognizing the allness, the omnipotence, the omniscience, the omnipresence of the divine, recognizing this loving presence moving through all of creation, I choose to look for it, to find it, to be it, to celebrate it, to continue to create from it. So I claim for myself and for each of us this morning at the Carolina Center for Spiritual Awakening, I claim for us an increased awareness of this power and presence within us, and an increased willingness to let it flow through us, to let it show up, light our path, be our feet on this path as we walk the way of peace, the way of what's possible, being an example of what is possible as love, as truth, as joy. So I just say thank you, God, for this opportunity to come together in community and continually awaken to our divine potential, continue to show up and be love. I say thank you. I release all of the details of this day, of my life, and of this service specifically. I release it into the mind and heart of God, knowing that in that realm it is already complete, and so we just release, relax, and allow it to be so. With great gratitude, I release these words. Thank you, God. And so it is. And so we let it be.
Hey, I'm Sally Razak, and I wanted to share a reading with you this morning that actually comes from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. It starts out with defining the term manna. It says that manna is a term originally used in Polynesian cultures to describe an extraordinary, powerful force residing in a person or an object, a sort of spiritual electricity that charges anyone who touches it. Carl Jung later defined the term as an unconscious influence of one being on another. What Jung speaks to is the fact that the energy of being real has more power than outright persuasion, debate, or force of will. He suggests that being who we are always releases an extraordinary power that, without intent or design, affects the people who come into contact with such realness. The beautiful and simple truth of this can be seen by looking at the sun. The sun, without intent or will or plan or sense of principle, just shines thoroughly and constantly. By being itself, the sun warms with its light, never withholding or warming only certain things on earth. Rather, the sun emanates in all directions all the time, and things grow. In the same way, we are authentic, expressing our warmth and light in all directions. We cause things around us to grow. Let me just repeat that last sentence. In the same way, when we are authentic, expressing our warmth and light in all directions, we cause things to grow around us. When our souls, like little suns, express the light of who we are, we emanate what Jesus called love and what Buddha called compassion, and the roots of community lengthen. In this way, without intent to shape others, we simply have to be authentic, and a sense of manna or spiritual light and warmth will emanate from our very souls, causing others to grow. Not toward us, but toward the light that moves through us. In this way, by being who we are, we not only experience life in all its vitality, but quite innocently and without design, we help others to be more thoroughly themselves. In being real, in staying devoted to this energy of realness, we help each other grow toward the one vital light. That reading had a really big impact on me because one of the things that's been stealing my peace, especially over the last several months, is feeling a sense of responsibility and a desire to take action on the things that are hurting our community right now. So I know you guys don't live under a rock and you're very much aware of all the stuff that's going on. And if you're like me, you just want to help. You want to make things better. And this reading, I chose it this morning because I wanted to bring our awareness and our intention back around to the beauty and the power of just being peaceful ourselves. I think that there is a lot of strength in just being that peace for ourselves. And what we can do from that space is then go to the next question of what's mine to do and allow that peace to generate the response. So again, being peaceful, asking yourself what's mine to do, and taking action that's generated from the space of peace. That's how we make a difference in the world. Don't underestimate your power of peaceful presence in our world and community. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being here. Namaste.
Thank you, Sally, for that beautiful reading and for reminding us that we have this power within us to influence the world around us. More on that in just a minute. But we are talking about peace this month, and this is a song I wrote when I realized that peace was as close as my breath. I realized it when I started thinking about the tropical places that I've been and the places that I've yet to go, but I can feel in my heart and in my mind. I can see them. And one of them is the island of Kauai. And so I wrote this song about that island, but specifically about tapping into peace.
Closing my eyes to the busy world outside, as if my eyelids hold the key to my ability to breathe. Imagining no deadlines and no constraints on my time as I drift to where the music carries me. Timeless as a breeze on a blue Kauai day, wind blowing the peace through my soul, feeling the warm sun without a care in the world, 'cause this moment is all I can know. Worries keep trying to pry my mind off the island and force me to feel them weighing me down. But I know the truth is I can have this at the ocean or in the middle of this town. Timeless as a breeze on a blue Kauai
This moment is all I can know. That's a great place to start, especially talking about peace this month, is in this now moment. In this now moment, that's all I need to know. This moment is all I can know. I am feeling refreshed and renewed and continually filling my cup. I hope you're doing the same thing. In my mind, I see you in my mind's eye, and you look fabulous. You look amazing and radiant, and know that that's what I know. That's what I see, and that's what I feel when I go into prayer and meditation and bring in the folks in this community. So I continue to affirm that with and for you, and trust that that is so. I've been feeling amazing and continuing to fill up my cup, as I said, by going as often as I can, about an hour and a half north to my family farm and up to Stone Mountain State Park, and just spending time up there, as I've told you a lot about. And I've been reflecting a lot lately on what it was like growing up on the farm. You know, my dad was a farmer and a chicken farmer, among other things. He did a lot of things. And I loved being outside. I loved playing in the woods, making forts. I'd make forts out of sticks or fallen trees. I'd make snow forts if it snowed. I would make a fort out of a cave, or I'd make a cave and then make it a fort. It's all about my forts. I love being in the woods. I love playing in the creek and being in nature and playing with the animals. And so when I read about a woman named Mildred Norman, who grew up on a poultry farm and loved to be outside and spent a lot of time in nature, playing in the creek and being in the woods, immediately I felt a kinship to this woman. But it was when I learned more about Mildred Norman that I fell in love with her, and that she became such an inspiration for my life. Now, many of you don't know this woman. Some of you may. Unfortunately, too many people do not know the story of Mildred Norman. But perhaps you know the story by her real name, her chosen name at age 45, and that is Peace Pilgrim. Mildred later officially changed her name to Peace Pilgrim. So here's the story of Mildred Norman, also known as the Peace Pilgrim. She says, "I'm a wanderer, I'm a pilgrim, and that's a wanderer with a purpose." She decided on January 1st, 1953, that she was heading out across the country from Los Angeles with nothing but a toothbrush, a comb, and a tunic that said Peace Pilgrim, walking 25,000 miles for peace. She ended up walking a lot more than that. But she set out in 1953 to do this journey with nothing but what she could carry, what she had on. And I'll tell you more about that in a moment. But first, I want to back up for a minute and tell you that her journey actually didn't begin there. It began when her peace journey really began much earlier, when she was around 30. She said she was having a really hard time. She was struggling with the fact that her friends were struggling, and it was weighing really heavy on her heart that she couldn't do anything to help. And it worried her so much. She was just so upset about it that she ended up walking all night long through the woods. And she said she came to a place and just sat down and prayed. And she said, "I prayed, use me, please use me." And then this deep, deep peace came over her. And she decided in that moment that she was here to be this instrument of peace. And so here she is, 15 years before she became the Peace Pilgrim. She moved into living the way of peace. She moved into what she calls her 15 years of practicing and preparing to be the Peace Pilgrim. She prepared for her 28-year pilgrimage, because she didn't stop. Once she started at age 45, she just continued on. For 28 years, she walked across the country, back and forth 7 times, zigzagging across and touching every state in the United States, going to all 10 provinces in Canada, going to many places in Mexico, continuing to walk for peace. She didn't have any money. She didn't take any money, and she didn't ask for any money. She never even accepted money. She would walk until she found shelter, and she would fast until she had food. Until she had shelter and food offered to her. She never once asked. That is fascinating to me. Talk about living on faith. She lived so deeply on faith that she never even asked. She just continued to show up. She said, I was just out there doing what one little person can do for peace. what one little person can do for peace. She said, I walked prayerfully as an opportunity to talk with many and perhaps inspire them to do something for peace in their own way. Thinking about not even asking, I heard an interviewer once ask her, well, how did you know like the right people to approach and the good people? And she said, I tell you that all people are good. There's a spark of good in everybody, no matter how deeply it's buried. And she also said what we teach in the Science of Mind and in New Thought is exactly what we teach. She said, the world is like a mirror. If you smile, it smiles at you. So she said, I just continue to walk as peace, to walk as love, to show up as that smile. In my song that I sing, Show Up and Be Love, I had someone ask me once, why does it say be the smile that you're dreaming of? I said, think about it. When you walk into a room, you're hoping you're going to get greeted with a smile. But oftentimes people walk into a room hoping they're going to be greeted with a smile, but they're not wearing one because they are already deciding that it's not going to be there. So we show up with the smile and the world smiles back is what the Peace Pilgrim was always preaching. We show up as the heart that we want to see, and it shows that it comes back to us. The world is a mirror. She believed in not trying to control or manipulate anyone else, but just showing up, putting out what you wanted to get, putting out being what you wanted to see in the world. You got to be it if you want to see it, showing up and being that. So one of the many interviews I've heard over the years, she has a book out there too. There's lots of resources to learn about the Peace Pilgrim. She's a fascinating individual. But one of the interviewers I heard once said, well, what about war? I mean, the Bible tells us that war will always be with us. She quickly said, actually, it says there will be wars and rumors of wars, but that prophecy has been fulfilled amply, wouldn't you say? She said, why would we seek to fulfill that prophecy anymore? When the Bible also said, they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift up sword against nation. Neither shall they learn war no more. Isaiah 2:4. Not going to study war no more, right? She said, perhaps the time has come to fulfill that prophecy. I say it has. That prophecy is the one it's time for us to fulfill. So this lady says to her once, I'm praying for you. I am praying for you. I'm praying for you. But of course, I don't believe peace is possible, but I'm praying for you. And she said, Peace Pilgrim said, wait. What do you mean you don't believe it's possible? She said, well, yeah, I don't. And she said, well, do you believe that it's in accordance with God's will? She goes, oh, absolutely, yes, absolutely. That has to be. Peace has to be in accordance with God's will. And Peace Pilgrim says, well, how could something be in accordance with God's will and then be impossible? She said, I would dare say it's not impossible, that it actually is inevitable. It may not show up in my time, she says. It may not show up in my time. But I believe that good effort bears good fruit. So I'm going to keep giving that good effort. And I trust that it will manifest. And I just leave that how and that when up to God. I leave that up to divine. But good effort produces good fruit, she says. I leave the rest in God's hands. She was such a metaphysician. I don't know if she realized it or not, but she was definitely in alignment with what we teach. Because one of the interviewers asked her once, I know it's rude to ask a woman her age, but I'm going to ask, Peace, how old are you? And she says, I don't know. I really don't. I deliberately don't know. I decided when I started this journey that I was of sufficient age. So at 45, by the way, that's when that was. I did the math. So at 45, she decided I was of sufficient age and I didn't need to keep up with it anymore. She said, because we constantly create our life through our thoughts. Hello. New Thought, Science of Mind 101. She said, we constantly create our life through our thoughts, and that includes our age. So I decided I didn't need to know anything other than I'm ageless and in radiant health. That's your first affirmation for the day. Say that with me. I am ageless and in radiant health. I am ageless and in radiant health. I am ageless and in radiant health. She says, I haven't gotten younger, but I see no need to get younger, because once you've learned what you need to learn from the previous seasons, why do you need to go back to them? I am ageless. I am ageless and in radiant health. You see, in the woods that night, when she came to this place of just surrender, and I know I'm here for a purpose, so use me, flow through me as my purpose. She identified that her purpose was to be out there doing what one little person could do for peace. And for her, that was walking and showing up as it. So she identified her purpose, and then she had the courage to live it. She identified her purpose, she had the courage to live it, and she did it with great faith, a deep, unshakable faith. I heard her say one time, a police officer stopped and rolled down the window and said, "Get in, what are you doing? It's just, the storm is coming." And she said, "Oh, it'll blow over." And it was like this terrible, bustling, looking like it was going to be really bad. And he's thinking, "Lady, are you nuts?" And she's like, "It's okay." She had faith. And the storm literally blew over right in front of his eyes. And he's like, "Okay." And she said, "I knew I was going to be okay." That was in the beginning of her journey. She always knew she was going to be okay. So she had her purpose. She identified it. She had the courage to live it. And she lived it from a deep, unshakable faith. Unshakable faith, right? No money. Let's just focus on that for a second. We live in a material universe. We live in this world that requires us to exchange, most of us anyway, unless we are Peace Pilgrim. Most of us live in a world, in life, that requires that we exchange this stuff called money. And we get kind of used to it. We've gotten sort of conditioned to it. And I know most of us can't imagine what that would be like to set off, first of all, walking with no food, no water, and no money. I mean, people have asked her, people kind of thought you were crazy. What did you feel? How'd you feel about that? She said, "Well, pioneers are always seen a little differently. And I was a pioneer for peace." Wow. I'm so inspired by her level of faith, trusting beyond a shadow of any doubt. Sometimes we all have had those moments where we have trouble trusting just from one paycheck to the next, or one bonus to the next, or one whatever, right? But she trusted from one moment to the next that she would have shelter, food, water, safety, whatever she needed. So a purpose, the courage to live it, and from a deep, abiding faith, that then, the fourth piece, she was able to do all of that and then come to this place of releasing all of the effort, not trying to control anyone or even an outcome for peace, but just releasing all of that to God. She was like, "That's not my job." Again, Science of Mind 101. The how is not our job. Releasing that. This is how we get to this place of knowing that peace is the truth of our being. Peace really is the truth of our being. When we get all the other stuff out of the way, like I talked about last week, and just allow ourselves to align with the pattern of perfection. Remember that? When we allow ourselves to align with that divine reality, then we can be at a place where peace is the truth of our being, where we can recognize that and live from it and know that it is the operating power of our life. That's your second affirmation for the day, that peace is the truth of my being. Peace is the operating power in my life. Peace is the truth of my being, the operating power in my life. Peace is the truth of my being, the operating power in my life. But you see, it needs to be where we live, not just where we visit. It needs to be the way of peace, where we live, not just where we visit. How many times have you been to a spiritual conference or a retreat or on vacation, and then you come back and everything hits the fan, right? Like anything that could go wrong goes wrong. Experienced that ever? I know I have. We call it re-entry. In the spiritual conference world, we call it re-entry. As we're leaving spiritual conferences, a lot of times we're like, "Oh, mindful re-entry, peaceful re-entry, good luck on the re-entry." Don't say luck, but have fun on your re-entry. I'll tell you a story about that. So here we are leaving the Circle of Love gathering, me and one of my teachers, David Leonard. Many, many, many years ago, we were leaving the Circle of Love gathering. We had been filled up to overflowing. We had visited peace that week. Man, we had visited peace. Now, David's peaceful most of the time anyway. And I am too now. But back then, I would have little respites of peace when I would go to a conference, and then I would be like, okay, now I got to catch up on all the stuff that I put on hold while I was at the peaceful conference, right? And so I was in that place of scurry when we left Circle of Love. As soon as we got in the car to leave, I'm like, okay, we got to go find a place for the ministers' conference, and then we got to get back, and then I got to get back and take care of church for tomorrow, and or next week or whatever. We got a lot to do. We got to go. And so David, I think, kind of caught into my scurry. And we left the Circle of Love gathering in Simpson Wood, Georgia, North Cross, Georgia, a place called Simpson Wood. And we were going south to a place, Banning Mills Lodge down there, to check it out for the first time, to see if it's somewhere we would like to have retreats. And we were looking for a place specifically for the Center for Spiritual Living Ministers Retreat that year, or the coming year. And so here we were. We're traveling, and we're talking on our phones back and forth. And he's like, I think it's exit blah, blah, blah. I'll know it when I see it. And I'm like, I'm following you. I'm clueless. So here we are. We're not using a GPS. I'm not even sure that was an option on our phones back then. But we at least have cell phones, right? And so we're talking back and forth. So we get off to get gas, or just to re-up our plan. I don't remember, but we get off an exit off of 85, and we're talking. Well, I think we got gas, and then I said, okay, I'm following you. He said, okay, I don't really know, but I think it's just a few more exits up. So the plan is we're going to pull out of the gas station. We're going to turn left. We're going to go up here, and then we're just going to turn right onto the ramp to get on 85 South. Well, we got separated pulling out of the gas station. I get finally able to get out. No sight of David. Can't see David anywhere. And I'm like, it's okay. He's on 85 South. I'll find him. It'll be fine. He'll slow down and wait for me. It'll be fine. So I get up to the on-ramp, and right as I'm going onto the on-ramp off of that road that we were on, right as I'm getting on the on-ramp, I look over, and there's David. And I'm going onto the on-ramp, and there goes David back the direction we just came from, looking down in his car while he's driving. I'm like, what is he doing? And here I go. I'm already committed. I'm already in the lane. I'm already on the on-ramp. Now I'm on 85 South going, hey, okay, what do I do? Turns out he had dropped Tinkerbell into his Big Gulp. Unfortunately, Tinkerbell was his phone. So I'm calling, it's going to voicemail. I'm calling, it's going to voicemail. And I think I went back, or maybe I got off at the next exit. I don't know. I do know a divine intervention happened, and we found each other again. But it was like one thing after another, that sort of chaotic blah energy, the minute we left the place of peace we had visited at that conference, at that retreat. We had visited peace. But then we stepped right back in to a scurry energy, and it was chaos. We finally rolled up to Banning Mills. I mean, it was only, I'm going to guess, maybe less than an hour away, I'm guessing, but it wasn't that far. It was hours, many, many hours later before we got there, and it was dark, and we're trying to check in and call the people like, we're here, sorry. And so we get checked into our room, and we're just exhausted, like we have worked our little behinds off all day long because of the emotional drain of being in that place of chaos, right? So it's so important. That's why it's important that we practice every single day being peace. That's why it's important to just be in that place of really practicing it. Dr. Ernest Holmes says, only peace can enter the gates of reality and sit at the table of love. But in true Ernest Holmes fashion, the reality has a capital R in that quote. Only peace can enter the gates of reality and sit at the table of love. That's because he's meaning the divine reality. Only if we want to commune with Source, if we want to be aligned with the divine reality, then we have to come from a place of peace and love, or we're not going to be in alignment with it, and we're going to be out here in chaos and land of hectic scurry. So the Peace Pilgrim, she gave us a checklist for being the way of peace, for being a peace pilgrim. This is what she lived by. Be willing to face life and go beneath the surface. No problem comes that does not have a purpose and cannot contribute to your inner growth. 2, live in harmony with the laws that govern the universe. I'm telling you, new thought, this lady. Live in harmony with laws that govern the universe. Evil can be overcome with good, only with good. Evil can be overcome only with good. Now in New Thought we say evil is error thinking, but it can show up as some stuff that looks like the traditional definition of evil sometimes. But it can be overcome only with good. Only good means can attain good end. Only good means can attain good end. And those who do unloving things hurt themselves spiritually. Live all the good things you believe in. Live the truth you know. Step 3, realize you have a special place in the life pattern. You are unique and wonderfully made with a purpose. That's how I would say that. But she says, realize you have a special place in the life pattern. By listening to your inner guidance, you will be drawn to some role in the world. Do what you feel guided to do. Now, when she started out in her preparation years, let's just say, she was running errands. She was taking care of sick people. She was doing all these different things that she didn't, at the time, have expertise for or know how that really played into her purpose of being a peace pilgrim. But she said, my lack of expertise was always offset by the love that I extended. Show up and be love. Number 4, purify your mind, body, and spirit. Nourish your body. Keep your thoughts positive. Forgive yourself daily. Plus, seek to uplift others. Use the energy. I love this quote. She says, use the energy that you used to use to condemn yourself to improve your actions, motives, and desires. Let me repeat that. Use the energy that you used to use on condemning yourself in the direction of improving your actions, your motives, and your desires. Great advice. And finally, number 5 on the checklist to being a peace pilgrim. Release these things. Attitudes that do not serve the greater good. Attachment to material possessions. Debilitating habits. The need to control others. Worry. And a belief in separation. Now I'm going to spend just one more minute on that material possession because I could feel you through the internet just then. Some of you go, whoa, wait, you want me to give up all my stuff and go marching across the country? I'm not that person. I'll read it again. Release the attachment to material possessions. It's not the material possessions that get in the way of living our divine reality, living in accordance with divine reality. It's our attachment. It's not the love. It's not the material possessions or money even that get in the way of us being aligned with divine reality. It's when we attach more meaning, more importance on that than living in accordance with divine reality and living in communion with Source. So it's the attachment piece to pay attention to. So I'm going to read those again in case anyone's ears fell off and thinking you're going to have to give up all your stuff. Release the attitudes that do not serve the greater good. Release the attachment to material possessions. Release debilitating habits. Well, that's a good one and kind of a no-brainer, but think about it. Start looking at your life. Do you have some habits that are really keeping you from living your purpose, living it with courage, living it with faith, and living it, leaving the how up to God? And then release the control of others. That's a big one. Check yourself in traffic. Check yourself with family meetings. Check yourself at work. Check yourself with your spouse. Release the need to control others. Let people be how and who they are. People ask me all the time, when's Angie coming home? I'm like, I don't know. It's awesome. I don't have to know. She's her own person. She frolics. It's fabulous. I love it. It's who she is. And I love that part of me that is able to say, I don't know. Release the need to control other people. It's such a fabulous, free place to be. Release worry. Release worry. You know that old saying, if you worry, why pray? And if you pray, why worry? So release worry. And last, release a belief in separation. Release the belief that we are separate from our ground of being, separate from our source. The interviewer said, this peace pilgrim seems to be a very happy woman. And she said, oh, I certainly am a happy person. I mean, who could know God and not be joyous? I wish you all peace, she said. Who could know God and not be joyous? Who could know God and not be joyous? To know God is to recognize that this divine source is good. It's pure goodness and love. To recognize that the divine, by whatever name you give it, is love, is possibility. It's the omnipresence, the omniscience, the omnipotence of that one power and presence that created all creation. So to know that is to recognize that truth, and to recognize, and when you recognize just the simple little piece of the omnipresence, that means belief of separation is blown away, because omnipresence means it's right here too. So to know God, how could you not be joyous? Peace is where I live when I choose it, and so I choose it. Peace is where I live. It's who I am. It's what I give, but it's a choice. I said that last week. I'll probably say it next week. I'm saying it right now. It's a choice. Peace is where I live, not where I visit. It's what I am, and it's what I give. I walk prayerfully, she said. I walk prayerfully. Let us walk prayerfully. Prayerfully, purposefully, peacefully, creating ripples of peace everywhere we go. That's what we're called to do. I believe it, I know it, I see it, and I'm so grateful to be doing it with you. Thank you. Namaste. So, yes, we can each be a peace pilgrim. We may not quit our jobs and walk around the country or other countries and have a tunic that says peace pilgrim, but we can be that in our everyday lives. And that's the takeaway that I got from this beautiful soul's life. And so I think about a boat going through the water and how it makes waves, ripples. If you throw a stone in, you see the ripples. And this song, of course, came to mind when I think about the ripples of peace that this woman created and that we are capable of creating. So let us be peace ripples. We are all the ripples on this endless sea. We all change the world every day to some degree. Even when we think we're not, no matter which road we choose, we're changing the world every day. Me and you. So how will you change the world today? What are the things you will do? Which are the words you'll choose to say? How will you change the world today? Not just if you're trying to, but in your everyday. How will you change the world today? Now maybe it's the little things you say or the things you choose not to say that impact a life. From the car that cuts you off on the road to the children who become what they're shown. Can you believe
today. How will you change? What will you do? Who will they see? And what is your truth? How will you change? What will you do? Who will they see? And what is your truth? How will you change? What will you do? Who will they see? So how will you change the world today? What are the things you will do? Which are the words you'll choose to say? How will you change the world today? Not just if you're trying to, but in your everyday. How will you change the world today?
Kids out there, we want you to know, well, first of all, that we miss seeing your smiling faces, but you're in our hearts and our minds. And so we say to our kids, we see you, we hear you, we appreciate you, and we love you just the way that you are. So as we move into a time of conscious giving, I just want to start by saying thank you so much to each and every person who continues to support our center with your tithes and offerings. Your donations really make a difference in the life of the center and in the work that we're able to do in the world. You're a part of that. So thank you so much for continuing to support the center each and every week with your tithes and offerings. So we have a conscious giving affirmation that reminds us to give consciously, to do just that, right? To give consciously, to realize that we have a choice to be in this remembrance of gratitude. That's why we give. We're giving back to our source for the spiritual nourishment that's been given to us. And so we say this affirmation together. Divine love moving through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, for the good in my life.
You are taken care of. I am taken care of. We are taken care of by the Spirit of love. You are being blessed by. I am being blessed by. We are being blessed by the Spirit of love. Right now is another chance. Right now is another chance. Right now is another chance to live in abundance. Live in abundance. You are taken care of. I am taken care of. We are taken care of by the Spirit of love. You're being blessed. You are being blessed by. I am being blessed by. We are being blessed by the Spirit of love. Right now is another chance. Right now is another chance. Right now is another chance.
care of. We are taken care of by the Spirit of love. And in the Spirit of love, I speak this word of love and gratitude, and I just say, thank you, God. Thank you, beloved presence, moving through this life. Thank you for life. Thank you for harmony and peace and joy and prosperity, pressed down to overflowing. I speak a specific word for each and every person giving a financial gift this morning. I know that in the giving, we are also receiving because we are opening, continually to stay open to the flow of life. And so I say thank you, God, for each and every person participating in that reciprocity, that dance, that flow. And so I know for each person, a blessing poured out, overflowing. I know for this center, a continued prosperity blessing poured out, overflowing. For I know that as we live with an open mind and open heart, serving the love serves us. And I say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. And so we just let it be. So we have a couple of announcements I would like to mention. In addition, they'll be on the screen shortly. But if you would like to be part of the service, we would love for you to be part of the service. So we have opportunities. If you'd like to share a reading or if you would like to share a prosperity moment, just email info@awakeningcarolina.org and we'll tell you how to do that. And we already have some takers. So I think next week we're going to have some more faces in the service, and I'm very excited about that. We also, that goes for the kids too. So if the kids want to be part, we would love to see our kids. We miss them so much. I know I do for sure, and I know I'm not the only one. So that's one of the announcements I wanted to make sure and reiterate. The other one is that, people are wanting to have small gathering. We want to have a large gathering, but we're not able to do that safely right now at this time. We will, again, we look forward to the day we can all get back together in a big group. But right now, we have the opportunity, because some folks have expressed interest in having small watch parties at their home. So if that's something that resonates with you, if you would like to host or be part of one, a group of 10 or less in someone's home to watch the service together and then maybe talk about it or have lunch, then that's something that's forming right now. So again, info@awakeningcarolina.org, and we can tell you more about that. Thank you so much for being with us today. We just feel the love that is in this community that is ever expanding across the globe as people are live streaming with us from everywhere. And we're just so grateful for all of you. So join us in letting the love wash over us as we close with this beautiful Ricky Byers song. We let the love wash over.
Joy, we let
fantastic week.
I am a pilgrim, a wanderer. And a pilgrim is a wanderer with a purpose. A pilgrimage can be to a place or for a thing. And my pilgrimage is for a thing. My pilgrimage is for peace. Now there's lots of facets of peace, and it covers all of them. Peace among nations, peace among groups, peace with our environment, but also peace among individuals, and the very, very important inner peace.